A commercial blast rippling across a solid rock face follows a highly controlled transfer of immense explosive energy. Before solid earth can be hauled or processed, it must first be fractured into manageable pieces. If that initial fracture fails, the mine's production cycle stops. On the left, well-fragmented rock flows into a crusher. On the right, a single oversized boulder has jammed the mechanism, halting the operation. To prevent these delays, engineers calculate the variables of energy and resistance, framing the blast as a solvable physics problem. Optimal fragmentation requires calibrating the interaction between three primary variables: spatial geometry, chemical energy, and millisecond timing. Managing this immense energy transfer dictates the loading efficiency, crusher performance, and ultimate profitability of the entire mining operation. Before drilling begins, the rock bench acts as a geometric canvas. This 3D model shows a typical bench in an open-pit mine. The exposed vertical wall on the side is the free face. To begin fracturing this rock, a single vertical drill hole is sunk into the top of the bench, positioned behind the free face. This represents burden, the distance between the blast hole and the free face. It establishes the path of least resistance for expanding gases. Upon detonation, energy reflects off the face, fracturing the rock outward to empty space, rather than cratering upward. To fracture a larger volume, engineers drill additional holes, forming a single row parallel to the free face. From a top-down view, we see the spacing, the calculated distance between adjacent blast holes within the same row. Spacing and burden must be mathematically balanced, so the shock waves interact to fragment the rock evenly between the holes. Spatial geometry creates the structural trap for the explosive energy, determining exactly where the rock will break. Once the holes are drilled, the focus shifts to the chemical material loaded inside them. ANFO, a mixture of ammonium nitrate and fuel oil, is the default commercial explosive for most mining applications. It is widely used because it provides significant energy output at a low cost. However, ANFO is highly sensitive to water. If groundwater is present in the drill hole, the explosive will fail to detonate. In wet drill holes, engineers use emulsion explosives instead. On the left, granular ANFO fills a dry hole. On the right, a thick, viscous fluid is used to handle groundwater. The emulsion's consistency displaces the water, ensuring a reliable detonation despite adverse conditions. Explosive selection is a reactive strategy, balancing chemical energy against the hydrological realities of the rock mass. Production blasting often involves multi-row patterns containing hundreds of loaded holes. In these large patterns, the holes are rarely detonated at the exact same moment. If every hole fired simultaneously, the clashing shockwaves would create a chaotic interference pattern, resulting in poor fragmentation and violent ground vibration. To prevent this, electronic detonators provide millisecond-level delays between specific holes and rows. Program delays establish a sequence, with each hole firing a few milliseconds after its neighbor. This creates a V-shaped propagation, moving row by row through the rock. Each delay allows the rock to break into the empty space created by the previous detonation. The result is a highly controlled wave of explosive fragmentation, moving smoothly through the rock mass in a specific, intended direction. Millisecond timing organizes the explosive event into a directed, sequential disassembly of the rock mass. We must also protect the boundaries of the blast, specifically where it meets the final, permanent pit wall. Massive production blasts can cause microfractures in these walls, compromising their structural integrity. To mitigate risk, engineers use pre-splitting, a tightly spaced row of smaller holes along the boundary. Fired before the main blast, they create a clean, vertical fracture. When the main blast follows, its shock waves hit this fracture and reflect back, protecting the permanent wall. This isolation is critical for maintaining long-term slope stability and preventing tunnel collapses. Pre-splitting creates an energetic barrier, protecting the permanent architecture of the mine from the temporary force of production. After the blast, engineers must objectively measure the resulting rock pile. Fragmentation analysis uses drone photography to digitize the pile. This digital mesh identifies and outlines individual fragments. This data generates a size distribution curve to verify if the blast met the requirements of the downstream crushers. The metric used to judge the efficiency of this entire process is the powder factor. Powder factor is the amount of explosive used per unit volume of rock blasted. A powder factor that is too low results in oversized boulders that stall loading and crushing equipment. If it is too high, it leads to wasted capital, excessive dust, and regulatory breaches from ground vibration. Powder factor is the ultimate ledger, proving whether the engineer successfully balanced chemical power against the physical resistance of the rock. Digital software now allows engineers to simulate geometry and timing long before a detonator is ever triggered. This preparation ensures both the safety of the workforce and the continuous productivity of the mine. Designing a blast is a technically demanding, safety-critical practice within heavy engineering. In the next episode, we leave the rock face to examine the invisible dangers of the mine atmosphere, focusing on underground ventilation and gas monitoring.